Nope, you haven't changed the channel. That is the new trailer from Top Gun: Maverick, a sequel to the classic 1986 hit. But the sequel is stirring up a little controversy. The Hollywood Reporter says, quote, the trailer sparks controversy as fans notice a little something. They noticed the Taiwanese flag was missing from Tom Cruise's jacket. Some fans are alleging that Paramount, the movie company, made the change to avoid the risk of alienating the Chinese and their fans, especially since the Chinese internet giant Tencent is co-financing the movie. This is what the controversy is all about. Check this out. The jacket on the left is from the original movie. The jacket on the right is the new one. The Taiwanese and Japanese flags have clearly been removed. Now, I don't know if you want to read too much into this, but Senator Ted Cruz doesn't like what he's seeing. He says that's unacceptable. And he's going to introduce legislation in the Senate that will prohibit the U.S. military from cooperating with Hollywood movie studios if the movies are edited or censored for distribution in China. Now, is this an overreach? Well, what better way to talk about it on a Friday? Let's bring in our company, Paris Dennard of the Black Voices for Trump Coalition and liberal commentator and the founder of the National Memo, Joe Conason. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you.
All right, so quickly, you know, part of the deal that goes on is that the military will work with certain movie companies and movies if they agree to sort of make sure that they're presented in the right way. Cruz is basically saying, hey, if you guys work with them, then you got to make sure that you don't alter the film when it goes into China, right? So I get it, but is this the flag that you plant on to stand up to China to say, we're going to get you guys now by making sure that we don't show movies in your country if the military's worked with the Paris? Is this how we stand up to China?
Well, it's certainly one way we stand up to China. At the end of the day, we have to make sure that when we have people in Congress and the Senate say we're going to put America first, that means putting America's values first and making sure that people in foreign countries, especially in China, are able to see the fullness of what it means to be an American and what it means to live in freedom. And we should want to shine that light. And we cannot underestimate the power of culture, of American culture and American values, and how that can impact change across the globe. And so this is one way, I believe, that we can hold China, stick the flag to China and say, listen, we're going to hold you accountable on certain things. And this is going to be one way that we do that as we move up to holding you accountable for COVID-19, which I think is coming as well.
All right, so Joe, I get Paris's point. I agree with him. We want them to see our values, right? But at the same time, these movies are big recruiting tools for the military overall. And if we don't work with them, right, I think Paris has got a point. You work with them, we show our values over there. But if the military says, hey, we can't work with you because you're going to go show them overseas and potentially change them, then the military may not, or the movie theater may not depict the military and its values in the best possible light because it's no longer tethered to them. So that consequence comes up. So I ask you now, Joe, is this worth it?
Ridiculous. First of all, it's not Ted Cruz's business how Hollywood makes its movies. And it's a slippery slope. Lots of countries all over the world censor American movies in one way or another. The Russians, for example, have censored almost every movie that's come in there over gay content or something else. They wouldn't show the death of Stalin at all. So, we need to treat other countries equally. And if we want to protest censorship, that's fine. But trying to use the power of the government to change how Hollywood makes movies is silly. The second thing about this is I can't believe Ted Cruz thinks this is an appropriate topic for a senator at a moment when his state is spiking in COVID cases. That's crazy. I mean, he needs to be paying attention to what's happening here.
So, but real quick, what I don't get is I understand that, but there's a difference between what they do in another country. But in this case, what Cruz is saying, if you want the government's help, then that's the quid pro quo. And I think that's the big difference. It's not saying you can't alter it. It's saying you can't alter it if. So.
Yeah, I think you make a good point. Ted Cruz also said something else. He said this is being compared, what's being done can be compared to foreign propaganda. I mean, those are pretty strong words, foreign propaganda. Paris, do you think that is accurate, or is that too extreme to say now it's becoming propaganda if we don't put this act in place?
Well, I mean, I think those are the senator's words, and I think that he knows what he's saying, so he can get more attention to his issue and to his piece of legislation. I think that when you look at the things that come out of China on a regular basis, that we got funneled through the WHO, and a lot of the things that we've seen reporters talk about on major networks, it is tantamount to propaganda. And so when you start to water down, when you start to taint and to edit what it means to be an American and our movies and our videos to fit their liking, you can make that case, and I think that's what the senator is doing.
So, Joe, let me show you what the Atlantic kind of threw out there, which says, in a piece that they did, Hollywood's great leap backwards on free expression, and basically saying that Beijing moves to co-opt the American film industry as it seeks to penetrate the world's largest market. So, you know, is that a concern? I know that that's less off the bill, but are we concerned that Beijing is trying to, you know, the opposite of what Paris was talking about earlier today? They're coming in and trying to instill their values by investing in Hollywood studios.
Listen, Sean, I was in Tiananmen. I reported there after the massacre. I know just how wrong the Chinese government is on so many issues. And we need to point that out and stand up for democracy and freedom of speech and democratic values. It's just silly to try to use our government's power to change the way Hollywood writes its scripts.
Well, Joe, you make a good point, and it begs the question, should Hollywood just do the right thing and not need legislation to do the right thing and try to represent our country well? Because it is true that people all over the world watch our movies and get a representation of what America is, our culture, from these specifically war movies. And so, Paris, do you think that Hollywood should just be able to do the right thing without additional legislation?
Look, I am a person who believes in free enterprise, and I think that we should expect Hollywood and others to do the right thing and to make those right choices. But unfortunately, what we've seen from how liberal Hollywood has become, that sometimes they don't tend to want to do that, and they are more interested a lot of times in profit and appeasing entities like China rather than doing what's the right thing and presenting America as America. So I would hope that they would do the right thing, but their track record has not been so.
Joe and Paris, I appreciate you guys weighing in on this. Thank you very much. I hope you have a safe and blessed Memorial Day weekend.
Thank you, Sean.
All right, well, up next, we have Diamond and Silk. They're going to respond to Joe Biden's recent comments on black voters.